The City That Never Sleeps, Turf Wars, is the second DLC pack for Marvel Spider-Man, and is very much the middle-of-the-road pack of all the DLCs. Yeah, that's right, I'm not beating around the bush with this one. It immediately follows up on the events that transpired within the Heist, though you would never know, and further escalates Hammerhead's ploy to become the one that runs it all in New York with Spider-Man attempting to stop him. If you take all my complaints from the previous DLC review and bundle them up, it would be essentially this review for this DLC pack, alongside with its incredibly short runtime, taking me a little under 2 hours to beat on my first playthrough. If you couldn't tell, I'm not overly fond of this particular bit of post-game content, because it does feel marginally empty, especially coming off of the Heist. From a narrative perspective as well, it's also a swing and a miss, as this really feels like it's preparing itself for its finale rather than being a fulfilling self-contained story that expands upon the universe like the Heist did. The most interesting character throughout the entirety of this DLC is unequivocally Yuri Watanabe, and how all of the events that transpire warp her psyche. Her descent into madness and all the details that surround that are really what drive you to care about this DLC, because you've spent so much time with the character in the main game, but no one else feels like they matter. Nothing else in the pack feels like it matters, not even Hammerhead and his insanely boring scheme, because it didn't even feel like they cared too much about the aftermath of the heist. It didn't even feel like there was any consequences. Hammerhead ends up feeling like more of a nuisance than an actual threat, even with all the stolen Sable tech. It feels very much like the setup is more important than the actual conflict in this pack. Comments are made in passing, but no one is mourning after the supposed loss of your former lover, and no one brings up anything of the sort to really give you the impression that the heist had any real narrative weight to it, other than introducing Hammerhead and developing this universe's Black Cat. Suffice to say, I was a little disappointed with how all of this went, but despite its short runtime and narrative blunders, there are some good things to take away from this pack. First and foremost, a big shout out to the art team for this game. They really went above and beyond on some of these interior designs for the newly introduced Hammerhead bases, of which the Speakeasy is my favorite one. Just look at how gorgeous this is.
I tell you, I ain't never seen a place this fancy in my life. The boss has great taste.
Yeah, he does. I hear he's trying to buy...
There are some new crimes, but I'm not even going to bother to mention them, because once again, you can't do any of them in the main game once you've beaten the DLC, so what does it even matter? There's also a new enemy type by way of the incredibly annoying Shield Dude. The guy also brings forth 2 new takedown animations with him, so that's nice. I just wish we had more for the others. With this new Shield Dude, however, the difficulty kind of ramps up because of how aggressive they are, and how much they limit the maneuverability of Spider-Man with some of their attacks. When you combine these in tandem with the minigunners, you get some really tough scenarios that test your skills, and more than anything in this game, really test how good your focus economy is, forcing you to almost always save 2 bars to take out the minigunners, who cannot be webbed up like every other mook in the game, and therefore take your priority on who should be taken out first. Screwball Challenges have also returned, adding a new variant that I'm personally not a fan of. You have your standard combat and gadget ones from last time, with the photobomb gimmick included, and for the most part these are challenging and fun. The one, however, that isn't too much fun is the stealth sections. Thankfully there aren't too many, but these really go against the playstyle of what makes this Spider-Man fun, the freedom of choice to take down goons however you feel like. These stealth sections are the antithesis of this. Your maneuverability is hampered by motion tracking cameras all over the area, and you're constantly trying to set up the AI in order to fall into the photobomb grid to maximize your points in order to secure the highest rating you can get. It's more memorization than anything else, and it isn't terribly fun and way too easy to mess up, leading into one too many frustrating fails. Speaking of stealth sections, it seems like Insomniac Games listened to us contingent of fans who weren't too big on Mary Jane's pace-breaking stealth sections, as they've been noticeably omitted from the pack and moving forward. And lastly, there is the Suit Pack. Easily the best suit pack out of all 3 packs released for the game. Spider Armor Mark 1 is such a throwback that it's almost impossible to hate. We haven't seen this suit since Shattered Dimensions, and despite there being 10 million other armored suits in this game, I'm glad to see this one be included because of how long it's been and how underutilized it's been in Spider-Man media. Spider Manga, or Spider Clan, is a very unique looking suit with an awesome shader job put into it. Despite your opinions on the suit, it stands out and is easily the most unique suit in the game, with some damn cool eye animations as well. Lastly, we have the Iron Spider Classic. Now, I have a bone to pick with this suit that some of you might not want to hear, but nonetheless, here I go. This suit's inclusion feels very much like a wasted spot to me. I understand that many fans love this suit, and it is an important suit within the Spider-Man lore, even though those events technically did get wiped from memory. But this suit is in every game, and has been post-Web of Shadows. I would have been happier if they had actually swapped Iron Spiders, to be completely honest, because paying for a suit that we get in every other game time and time again just puts a bad taste in my mouth. At least give us something new? Not to say that the work done here isn't well done, because it is. It's an immaculate looking suit that just seems to be a hybrid of the comic book version and Iron Man's nanotech armor from Infinity War, but I'm just tired of it always being in these games. If you're gonna include it in the base game. Don't make me pay for it. Anyway, rant over. Turf Wars is a mixed bag. If you're gonna get it for anything, get it for the suits and the bases, as those are worthwhile while everything else misses the mark. It's not nearly as compelling as the Heist, but it's not as bad as you'd think it would be. Silver Lining, however, a complete 180 from Turf Wars. Silver Lining is actually a lot of fun and fixes a lot of the issues I had with Turf Wars. It also ramps up the difficulty quite a bit with the introduction of these new enemy types, in conjunction with the old ones. And by new, I mean they armored up the old guys and made them more resistant to webbing, which forces you to really diversify your usage in gadgets, and that really isn't such a bad thing. But I do worry that down the line for the sequel, they'll go too far with this for the sake of difficulty balance. Don't get me wrong, it's a good thing to have challenge, but I don't think it should be at the expense of nerfing the powers of the main character. It's a fine line that they walked across for this, in which I think they did okay, but admittedly gives me a slight bit of concern for the future. I really hope they don't make webbing useless. In this DLC pack, we see the much welcome return of Silver Sable, and she's arguably the best part of this entire story, with her amazing chemistry with Spider-Man.
That was awesome! High five!
I will call soon.
There was a lot of heart put into this pack, and you can definitely feel it while playing through. And while some parts were admittedly dark, it's counterbalanced with some great good-hearted moments that make you genuinely feel good for these characters and worry for some others. With this DLC pack, you're getting the full package like you did for the Heist, which means Screwball Challenges with thankfully no stealth sections, just combat and gadget variations, new bases that take place in the sewers that aren't against the Ninja Turtles, unfortunately, a few side missions that clear some narrative points and leads up to some interesting developments for the sequel, and new collectibles giving you more insight to, well, I won't spoil that for you. I won't spoil anything, actually, because this is worth you playing it and experiencing it on your own. Seriously, it's best if you play it for yourself, trust me. This story is a lot more longer as it deals with Sable's more personal motivations as well as Silvermane's excuse me, I mean Hammerhead's master plan coming to fruition. Yeah, this is just weird. All in all, this DLC pack does feel like a finale. Everything that was left open-ended was solved, or at least further developed for the sequel. But by the time you're done with it all, you'll be left satisfied and wanting for more, which is what all good DLC or games should do when teasing projects for the future. If there's any blemish to the pack, it's the suits. And while not as bad as the Heists, it doesn't even come close to the quality of Turf Wars. I was really disappointed in the suit selection when they were first announced, and even after playing with some of these, I'm still not a fan of them. The Aaron Aikman armor is the 11th million armor suit to be added into the game, and looks cool if not familiar to the Ends of the Earth suit, which kind of soured me on it just a bit. Definitely the best looking suit in the pack, though. The Into the Spider-Verse suit is nothing if not promotional material, which is a smart thing for Marvel and Sony to capitalize on, but with it comes a slot that was always allotted for promotion and not something that people really wanted, like a sensational Ben Reilly or even a Spider-Man Unlimited. Not to say the work on it is bad, because as always the quality is top-notch, but the selection left a lot of people feeling sour grapes. And then there's this Rob Liefeld 90s abomination that it should have just stayed locked in a trunk somewhere, sinking at the bottom of the Hudson. What the hell is this? More importantly, why the hell is this? Out of all the suits, out of all the non-classic red and blues, can you get this out of my face, please? Can you edit that? Just make him blow up or something, okay? Can you make him self-destruct? I don't want to look at. I don't want to look at him. I feel like most people didn't even really care about the poor choice selection because of the Raimi suit being given out literally for free a day before.
Say that Insomniac will save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. I'll go on to complain on the Twitter. Watch as we all wind away.
Anyway, that aside, pick this little nugget of DLC up if you haven't, though I'm sure most of you have. It's well worth the asking price, and it's a hell of a ride from start to finish. And make sure to stick around to the end, because the post-credit scene is very promising. Anyways, guys, until next time, thanks for watching. P1SM, out!
I am so blind, I can't find patience. I am so blind, I can't find patience. Oh, 'cause patience, no patience, ain't